Hey guys, Ed from Paranormal Inc. Ohio here, back at it again with another podcast episode. Tonight's podcast episode is about the Leviathan Demon. We're going to learn his origins and what he does. Again, I'm going to tell you this by the research that I've done, and we're going to go from there. So, let's get started. The Leviathan is a biblical sea monster, a mythical creature referred to in sections of the Old Testament. And while a popular metaphor in both Judaism and Christianity, the creature nonetheless is viewed differently in each religion. The creature can either be seen as metaphor for the sheer size and power of God's creative abilities or a demonic beast. In this context, the Leviathan is regarded as the monster of the waters, while the behemoth and the ziz are regarded as monsters of the earth and air. Respectively, outside of religion, Leviathan has become synonymous with any large sea creature, particularly whales. The term Leviathan comes from the old Hebrew name Leviathan or Leviathane, which means twisted, coiled. When the Old Testament was translated into the Greek, it meant the word dragon. However, in English, the original Hebrew word has been translated into Leviathan in modern Hebrew. It simply means whale. Descriptions of the Leviathan vary according to each culture source. Almost unanimously, it is said to be a sea creature of immense size. Some report that its body resembles that of a whale, with a thick, cylindrical body and fins. Sometimes it is depicted as more of a dragon-like creature, covered in a body of scaly armor, sharp claws, rows of razor teeth, the ability to breathe fire, and a thinner, more serpentine body. The biblical references to Leviathan appear to have evolved from the Canaanite Baal cycle, involving the confrontation between Hadad, Baal, and a seven-headed sea monster named Lotan. Lotan is Ugaritic orthograph, or Hebrew Leviathan. Hadad defeats him. Biblical references also resemble the Babylonian creation epic Enua Elish, in which the storm god Marduk slays his mother, the sea monster and goddess of chaos and creation, Tiamat, and creatures, the earth and sky, from two halves of her corpse. Such sea creatures are common to nearly all the ancient civilizations, particularly those that were geographically close to water, even during the later time of Greek and Roman seafaring. It was a dangerous and mysterious place in which humans could hardly penetrate to discover what lurked below. Sightings of whales and squid and other large water animals more likely fueled the mysterious belief in sea monsters. In the book of Job, both Behemoth and Leviathan are listed alongside a number of other animals that are clearly mundane, such as goats, eagles, and hawks, leading many Christian scholars to surmise that Behemoth and Leviathan may also be mundane creatures. The animal most often proposed for Leviathan is the Nile crocodile, which is aquatic, scaly, and possesses fierce teeth. Others suggest that the Leviathan is an exaggerated account of a whale. This view faces some difficulty, however, as early Jewish people in the Near East would not have likely encountered whales in such a warm region. During seafaring's golden age, European sailors saw Leviathan as a gigantic whale-like sea monster, usually a sea serpent, that devoured whole ships by swimming around the vessels so quickly as to create a whirlpool. The Leviathan may also be interpreted as the sea itself, with its counterparts Behemoth and Ziz being the land and the air, respectively. Some scholars have interpreted Leviathan and other references to the sea in the Old Testament as highly metaphorical references to seafaring marauders who once terrorized the kingdom of Israel. Others liken the mention to Tiamat and other similar monsters who represented the sea as a foe to the gods and myths and nearby cultures. In the Talmud, the Leviathan is mentioned as a number of times. For example, Avodah Zarah, Rav Yahada says, there are 12 hours in a day. The first 3 hours, God sits and learns the Torah. The second 3 hours, he sits and judges the world. The third 3 hours, God feeds the entire world. The fourth 3 hour period, God plays with the Leviathan. as it is written, the Leviathan which you have created to play with. Moed Katan, Rav Ashi, said to Bar Kapok, what will be said at my funeral? He answered, if a flame can fall a cedar, what hope does a small tree have? If a Leviathan can be hooked and hauled to land, what hope has a fish in the puddle? According to the Midrash, the Leviathan was created on the 5th day. Originally, God produced a male and a female Leviathan, but lest in multiplying the species should destroy the world, he slew the female, reserving her flesh for the banquet that will be given to the righteous on the advent of the Messiah. Famed Rabbi Rashi believed differently. According to legend, this refers to the Leviathan and its male. God created a male and female Leviathan, then killed the female and salted it for the righteous. For if the Leviathans were to procreate, the world could not stand before them. The festival of Sukkot, festival of Booths, concludes with a prayer recited upon leaving the Sukkah. May it be your will, Lord our God, and God our forefathers, that just as I fulfilled and dwelled in the Sukkah, so may I merit in the coming year to dwell in the Sukkah of the skin of Leviathan next year in Jerusalem. The Leviathan was a monstrous fish created on the 5th day of creation. Its story is related to the length in the Talmud, Baba Bavatra, where it is told that the Leviathan will slain and its flesh served as a feast to the righteous in the time to come, and its skin used to cover the tent where the banquet will take place. There is another religious hymn recited on the festival of Shavat, celebrating the giving of the Torah, known as Akmat, wherein it says, the sport with the Leviathan and the ox, behemoth, when they will interlock with one another and engage in combat. With his horns the behemoth will gore its strength, and the fish Leviathan will leap to meet him with his fins, with power. Their creator will approach them with the mighty sword and slay them both. Thus, from the beautiful skin of the Leviathan, God will construct canopies to shelter the righteous, who will eat the meat of the behemoth, the ox, and the Leviathan amid great joy and merriment at a huge banquet that will be given for them. Some rabbinical commentators say these accounts are allegorical or symbolic to the end of conflict. In the legend of the record of the Midrash called Parkei de Rabbi Eliezer, it is stated that the whale which swallowed Jonah narrowly avoided being eaten by the Leviathan, which generally eats one whale each day. In the hymn of Kahar, the Leviathan is a serpent that surrounds the earth and has its tail in the mouth, like the Greek Orobus and the Nordic Midgard serpent. Legend has it that in the banquet after the end of the conflict, the carcass of the Leviathan will be served as a meal along with the behemoth and the ziz. Isaiah 27:1 of the Christian Bible, in that day the Lord with his sore and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan and piercing serpent, even Leviathan, that crooked serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. Psalm 74:14, thou didst crush the heads of the Leviathan, thou didst give him for food to the creatures of the desert. All right, guys, I'm reading this as the Bible states it. So, again, like I said yesterday, when they wrote the Bible, it's kind of hard to understand. So I'm just reading it as it is. I don't want to try to change it because I don't want to offend anybody out there, like some Christians, some Catholics, or anything like that. Psalms 104, 25, 26. O Lord, how manifold thy works and wisdom, you have created them all. So is the great and wide sea. There go the ships of the Leviathan, which you have created to play therein. Book of Job 3:8. May those who curse days curse that day, those who are ready to rouse Leviathan. Book of Job 40:24-32, 41:1-24. Can you draw out a Leviathan with a hook or press down its tongue with a cord? Canst thou put a hook into thine nose, or bore his jaw through with a brittle ring? Will he make many supplications to thee? Will he speak soft words to thee? Will he make a covenant with thee, to take him for thy servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as the bird, or wilt thou bind him for thy girls? Will the tradesman heap up payment for him? Lay thy hand upon him. Thou wilt no more think of fighting. Behold, the hope of him in his vain. Shall not one of be cast down even at the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible, round about. His scales are his pride, shut up together as this a close seal. One is near to another, that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They stick together, and they cannot be sundered. By his sneezing a light doth shine, and his eyes are like the eyelids of morning. Out his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Pretty much God is saying that this thing is terrible. His teeth will destroy you. He breathes fire. His eyes are a gaze of something beautiful like the morning sun, that you can't look away. His breath kindled coals, and a flame goeth out his mouth. His heart is a firm and stone, yea, as hard as a piece of the nether millstone. Iron as straw, and brass as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He is the king over all children of pride. So God created Leviathan. Even the Leviathan was one of the fallen that fell from heaven along with Satan, who tried to overthrow God. God pretty much made him to this demon that can pretty much do his bidding. If you go against God, then God will send Leviathan after you, and nothing that you can do can stop Leviathan. The Christian interpretation of Leviathan is often considered to be a demon or natural monster associated with Satan or the devil, as I just said, and held by some to be same monster as Rahab. Some interpreters suggest that Leviathan is a symbol of humankind in opposition to God, claiming that it is the beast mentioned in the books of Daniel, and Revelations. Should be interpreted as metaphors. Leviathan also appears in the apocalyptical book of Enoch. Giving the following description of this monster's origins, they're mentioned as being female as opposed to the male behemoth. In that day will two monsters be parted, one monster a female named Leviathan, in order to dwell in the abyss of the ocean over the fountains of water, and the other a male called Behemoth, which holds his chest in an invisible desert, whose name is Dundayan, east of Garden of Eden. Enoch 7 through 8. According to St. Thomas, Leviathan is the demon of envy and the demon who is first in punishing the corresponding sinners. Peter Bensfeld likewise classified Leviathan as the demon of envy, as one of the 7 princes of hell, corresponding to the 7 deadly sins. Leviathan became associated with and may originally have been referred to by the visual motif of the hellmouth, a monstrous animal into whose mouth the damned disappear at the last judgment, found in Anglo-Saxon art from about 800, the year 800, and later all over Europe. Leviathan is the title of Thomas Hobbes' seminal work on the social contract and the creation of an ideal state. The Commonwealth and Paradise Lost, Milton uses the term Leviathan to describe the size and power of Satan. The term Leviathan is often used as a generic term for anything large and all-consuming, partly due to the influence of Herman Melville's classic Moby Dick. The Leviathan has come to be associated by many with the sperm whale. An example of this is in Disney's depiction of Pinocchio's being swallowed a la Jonah in the Bible by Monstro, a sperm whale, despite the fact that the original Italian book Pinocchio was swallowed by a puscain, translated as a dogfish or shark. The Leviathan appears as a fairly major character in the 1975 science fiction story The Illuminatus trilogy by Robert Shea and Robert Anton Wilson. It is the remnant of the original single-celled life form on the planet after the first cellular division. One part continued to divide and eventually became the progenitor of all life on Earth, while the other remained unicellular and grew to monstrous proportions, and intelligence became Leviathan. So pretty much Leviathan is put out to be just the most horrible thing ever created by God. He was once one of God's most treasured angels along with Lucifer, And when Lucifer decided to take over and try to overthrow God, Leviathan was a part of the 7 that fell. There was many more than 7 that fell from heaven, but the main 7 he was a part of. And now God uses Leviathan as a kind of like a don't play with me. You're going to find out. And he sends Leviathan down to destroy and kill. Leviathan is also a demon. He's one of the one of the kings of hell alongside of Lucifer. So he does also Satan's bidding. So Leviathan's almost like a free agent, if you will. So I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's episode. I enjoyed doing the work for this and the research. Again, I love doing this for you guys. I love each and every one of you. Thank you for all the support. I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Like I just said, I know I babble a lot on these. So you guys will hear us in the next episode. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.